Welcome back to Briggs on Books, where we talk to authors about their book. Of course, we want you to buy their books, but also I love hearing about the process that brought them to publish their book. Are you up on your anabolic state? Do you know what that is? Well, we're going to find out in a minute. The author that's coming up, he explains in his book how certain thoughts, actions, attitude, and character traits lead to a healthy anabolic blood chemistry. I always thought it was what you eat, but he's going to tell us differently. And he's an expert on it because he has a Ph.D. in health and education and physical education from the University of North Carolina. And he's a retired professor who studied all aspects of health, fitness, stress, and anxiety over about 35 years. Welcome to our guest, Dr. William G. Alston. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you, Mike. Glad to be here.
Anything I said makes sense? What is this anabolic state that we're desiring?
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, it all started, I started writing a book about worrying, which I've taught many sessions on worrying and anxiety and how they can be very harmful. But in doing the background research, I kept running across additional studies, threads that I had not been aware of. I've taught this stuff for 35 years. And I never run across these studies, or at least never linked them together. And as I linked them together, it just started disclosing an amazing thing to me that when you put these studies together, it turns out that there are certain thoughts that cause your blood chemistry to become more anabolic, others that cause it to become catabolic. Anabolic is a very healthy physical state wherein your body and mind operate at top efficiency. Your body builds muscle and burns fat instead of doing the opposite, which is catabolic. And all of this, as I kept looking, I kept finding various things that would cause your blood chemistry to become more anabolic and others cause it to become more catabolic. I kept putting those things together. And it turned out it just was an amazing thread of data that it blew my mind. And I realized I really had something here kind of toward the end. And I think maybe the best way to sort this out is to talk about it key by key. It's the 4 keys to the anabolic state. Okay. The first key 1, is immediate. It's immediate anabolic empowerment. This is what the jocks are looking for, the athletes. This is why they need to read this book. Because I started with a study on the GRE. Students taking the GRE, and a study found that one single thought actually enhanced scores on the GRE and caused them more anabolic blood chemistry. One single simple thought. The experimental group was given a thought, the control group was not, and the difference was substantial. And it's consistent. I found at least 10 or 12 studies that replicated that, all finding the same thing. So now you've got something pretty powerful when you replicate a study like that. And so that's the immediate anabolic state. That's where, and I'll reveal that thought in the book. If I get into part of it, is just not stop fear and anxiety. If you stop fear and anxiety, that helps a lot.
By the way, that's talking about the graduate records exam that you have to get a good score on to get into grad school. And you're able to kind of help the students get in a different anabolic state before they took the exam?
Absolutely. I mean, they actually tested the anabolic. They tested blood chemistry as well as test scores, and the two ran together. The ones who became more anabolic, the scores went up significantly. And so, yeah, that's what got me started. That group of studies got me started, and then I started looking, and the same type of thought caused drastic improvement in athletic ability. In athletic performance. And so now, you're really looking at something powerful. And then it came out, well, what do we need to do to sustain this? And so I started looking at studies that go beyond the immediate. The immediate, I think we've talked enough about it. That I'll just have to tell you that the book will explain precisely the thinking processes that you need to do and that athletes need to do. If I had a son, if I was playing sports right now, I would be so grateful to have this information.
Now let me just anabolic steroids are something that athletes will take to enhance performance, but I think they're illegal. Is that right?
They're illegal, they're dangerous, and they're stupid. I mean, this is not the way to go.
But you're saying that people could reach that anabolic state they want without taking the supplements.
Exactly, without taking illegal supplements, without any risk. I mean, it's just a healthier life, really. But the immediate results are what they're looking for. Now, we also want sustained results. And key two is, at the title of that chapter is Sustained Anabolic Empowerment. And key two really is based around goal setting. And there have been a lot of books about goal setting, but not about the chemistry of goal setting. And what I've looked into is that when you set goals and you set them properly, and there's a way to set goals. For example, a wish is not a goal. A lot of people think, well, if I wish something hard enough, it'll come true. Well, that may be in a movie, but not in real life. But if your wishes turn to goals and you do it properly, you can sustain this anabolic state. Your body can become more anabolic, blood chemistry more anabolic, constantly, consistently. And that's what we're seeking. So goal setting, the book will explain exactly how to set goals so that a properly set goal is not a burden.
Right.
It is a powerful force within you that literally energizes you. And in fact, when I was writing this book, it was goal setting that got me through it. I mean, it's just helped me so much to get through this book and write and do all the research that is necessary. And I think that's enough about goal setting. The book will explain it in great detail, but if I get much deeper, we won't get much further. But the next one is characteristics, empowered characteristics. It talks about, most of them have to do with relationships, but it's characteristics such as honesty, gratitude, humility, self-discipline.
Character, a person's character.
Exactly, character. And I think everybody realizes that these are righteous traits. Mm-hmm. But very few people may realize that these traits facilitate the anabolic blood chemistry. Each one in its own, they have, and every time as I would go, I could really get excited about it. I think, I wonder what else can bring about this anabolic state or sustain this anabolic state. And I kept looking and I say, I know honesty does because we know about the lie detector. I mean, that's obvious. You lie and your blood chemistry changes. The blood chemistry changes what causes the lie detector to kick off. And so that was easy. But I found the same thing was true with gratitude. People who are thankful. And this one, it was kind of funny. But as I was researching this, I ran across a lot of research saying that it was what I would call trivial research. It was like gratitude journaling. So if you write down, I had a good hair day today, or I met a good friend today. Well, that's nice. Somebody gave me cookies. Okay, that's all sweet and nice, okay. But just imagine those were shown to create a more anabolic blood chemistry. Those simple things. Yeah. And I wrote in the book, I said that, listen, I said in the book, I'm old, I'm hard-headed, and I'm not, but this is trivial. I mean, this is ridiculous. I said, the only good that these studies do is to make us ask if this stuff will cause a blood chemistry change in a positive direction. What would it be if we were truly grateful to another person or Almighty God, and we truly had gratitude, deep, sincere gratitude, and expressed it? And it was amazing, the power when you do that, and how much more powerful it is than this trivial stuff that are in so many studies. But people just don't realize, I mean, righteousness is healthy, and unrighteousness is not. And that's one of the things that kept coming out in this, but we don't, another one was humility. Like, for example, egotism is another form of lying, actually. It's portraying something you're not. And humility, people who exhibited humility had lower catabolic hormones and higher anabolic hormones, which is what we're seeking. And self-discipline was another one. Of course, everybody understands the power of self-discipline, but it also has a chemistry. And then after I got through sorting out all of that, and we looked at all that, and it kept building, and my next thought was, I wonder if faith if there's any study. I knew in my heart that I know that faith would make your blood chemistry worrying about it, but I need studies. You can't just surmise, You have to have studies. So I started looking for studies on this, and I found them. And it's amazing. And they're all documented in the book. I cite this book is very well documented. And explain that people of faith have higher anabolic levels than people who lack faith, which was amazing to me at the time, and yet not surprising, but it was surprising to me that people had done the studies and that nobody had ever linked them all together before. So I think you can see where this is going. And then in the final chapter, of course, faith is listed as the ultimate empowerment. That's the final chapter of the book. It's the ultimate empowerment, and it is having a Christian, especially a Christian faith, where you reach a point where you know you're saved, and everything about your life becomes more peaceful, happier. And now we know that because of this research, we can know that it also can become healthier. And so the book ended with the fourth key, which is faith. Yeah. But I think everyone who has read it, has commented that it is shocking science, but it is so easy to read.
Yeah. And I know you're a professor, and it sounds very professorial, but really the book has a bunch of true accounts, stories, examples, analogies, and it's a laid-back book to read.
Exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yes, it is a load of examples of true accounts, very inspiring. Two of my students, one of my students in particular, who achieved a seemingly impossible goal. A girl who came to me, and she was an excellent student, sweet kid, very popular on campus, but she had never engaged in any physical activity. She was in very poor health. She just came to me and she said, Dr. A, she would call me Dr. A, I don't know that, but anyway, she said, I've got a righteous goal and I need you to help me. She said, I took all your notes in health class and nutrition class, but I didn't take exercise. She wasn't a major of mine. She just took some of my classes electives. So she said, I need to know more about exercise. I've never exercised. I've never done anything physical. I said, Jenny, if you want to do this, this is going to be tough. Yeah. And she said, so, and we even got around to it. I said, if you're going to change your body the way you want to, you're going to have to lift weights. And here girl now, this is a pretty little girl who's never done anything. And I said, do you want it that bad? Yeah. Because you can't achieve it without that. You can't just run and jog and do aerobic dance. I mean, that'll help. But if you get where you want to be, you need to lift. And, well, put a long story short, she despised it, of course. I mean, but she would have tears in her. I set her up with some of our strength training classes at Erskine College. But I took her and showed her all the lifts and how to do it safely and everything. While I was showing her, I mean, she couldn't even do 2 squats with an empty bar. And she had tears in her eyes, and she would just say, do I really need to do this, doctor? I said, yeah, you do, Jenny. And so I said, but it's got to be from you. You have to want it. And I said, if you do, you'll be successful. Wow. And her story is in there, and it'll bring tears to your eyes. I mean, that girl, and she went out and got a doctor of jurisprudence.
Wow.
And she was a very intelligent girl. And when she came back to me 5 years later, I was walking across the campus, and somebody called me from behind. I turned around, I saw this absolutely beautiful woman. And she said, she came up and spun around in front of me. She said, how do you like me now? I like you a lot, but who are you? And she said, come on, Dr. A, you know who I am. And it was Jenny. And her change was that dramatic.
Wow.
And the power of goal setting. This is just one of the stories in that. And the power of goal setting will just blow your mind if you do it right and you know how to do it. And prayer, faith. So those two together, and self-discipline. Also, three of those character traits came together in one in this girl, and she changed her life so dramatically. It was amazing.
So there's the 4 keys. By the way, I have on the screen your web address because people are going to want to dig into this and learn more about it, and also your Instagram. But I recommend to people, buy this book. Anybody could use this book. I usually ask the author, well, who needs this book? But obviously anybody could use and probably needs this book. It doesn't matter how successful you are. I think it'd be a good book for anyone.
Right. Well, you know, all the reviews have been done by adults, and I'm just waiting to get in the hands of some of these athletes. I mean, all the reviews are 5-star, and all of them are glowing, and all of them say it's easy to read, and they love it. But I want to get in the hands of the athletes now because and coaches. I sent a little post out once, Coach, if your players are not reading this book, you're going to have a rough season.
Yeah.
And if the other teams are, you're going to have a rough season. And I said it in a kind of joking way, but it's absolutely true. If I was a coach today, I can promise you I'd do fundraisers to get these books and get them in the hands of my players. And I'd get them together and we talk about the things that are expressed in the book. Because it is, I promise you, it is cutting edge science. Mm-hmm. And when you get through with it, you won't really realize that for me. You'll look back and you say, that book actually introduced a total new theory in science. And it actually disputed today's publications on stress. And that's mostly in the index, explains all that, because readers don't want to get into that kind of stuff. But it actually introduces a theory that, and I've invited the entire, and actually challenged the entire scientific community to respond. And nobody's rung my bell yet, but I'm waiting and hoping that they will. I mean, I really, because it's so well documented, I want them to challenge it. And do the studies and see what they find. Yeah,
Gid, we're way past time, but it's just fascinating and intriguing, and I'm going to get this book for reasons of my own. But for our viewers, here's the book, 4 Keys to the Natural Anabolic State, and what a good gift this would be. I give gifts all year round, so for our viewers, go buy 10 copies of this book and have them around, especially if you know a student athlete or the parents of a student athlete. But I think anybody who's not goal-oriented or not healthy or not moving forward properly with their life, I think they could really benefit from this book. And I thank you, Dr. Alston, for writing it and for coming on our show and telling us about it.
Thank you, Mike. I've enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure.
All right. And for our viewers, don't go anywhere. We have another guest coming up right after this. And, in fact, all day long we'll have authors coming on. And we'll be right back.